Thanks everybody for coming, and you're very welcome to our presentation today. So thanks particularly to Elsevier for giving us the opportunity to present today. We're delighted to be here for a start, to be in the lovely Cascais, and we're delighted to be able to share our pure story and I suppose the communications and collaborative message that went behind that story. So the title of our talk today is Getting the Message Out There, an effective communication strategy for a Pure implementation. So we implemented Pure last year. We had our kickoff meeting in January of last year, 2024, and our portal went live in September 2024. So we knew from the start we were on a very ambitious timeline. And what really drove that, our reflections and insights after our implementation, what drove that and what helped that was the communication strategy that we used and the collaborative approach that we used from the very start, well before the project started. So this says here for Pure implementation. So this is of particular relevance when you're implementing Pure in your institution, but also we're using this strategy as we go along. And even after this week, there's so many new modules, so many new features in Pure that we're excited to roll out over the next year. And we need to employ the same communication strategy for that. So obviously for the initial implementation, this proved particularly invaluable for us. But as we move on then as well, we're going to be employing that same communication strategy. Yeah, so just to introduce ourselves briefly, my name is Richard Cottrell. I'm the Research Systems Officer in the Research Strategy and Policy team in the Office of the Vice President, Research and Innovation. So it's a bit of a mouthful, and I'm joined by my colleague, Fred Clohessy, who's the Research Systems Administrator. Just give you a very brief overview of the University of Limerick, or UL as we refer to it. UL is a young university. It was established in 1989 under the Irish Universities Act, the same time as DCU was. It's a young, vibrant university on the Atlantic seaboard, and as you can see from our lovely picture here of the Living Bridge, it straddles the River Shannon. Where I said we're a young university, we're part of the Young European Research University Network. Let's see that very carefully to make sure I got that one right. Sorry, not all our facts and figures are showing here, but this is just to give a very brief overview of our facts and figures. We have over 18,000 students. We have nearly 2,000 staff. Of that, we approximate, this is depending on who we're talking to, around 600 of those are research active staff. And our research strengths are cut off there, but they're in the areas of advanced manufacturing, lifestyle and health, health technologies, pharmaceutical processing, data science, software, and I can't read the rest there. But you can follow up with us afterwards. We'll tell you what the rest are, the secret ones. So our Pure journey, just to give you a brief overview. And I know lots of you have probably gone through this already or are in the middle of your Pure journey. So we probably all had a similar story as well. We had a previous research information system that was limited and outdated. It was on an old infrastructure, and the main problem was underinvestment in it. And that applied across our whole institution, underinvestment in IT systems for a start, and particularly research IT systems. So I suppose over the years, we knew we were on an old version of a system. So we started our market research on the systems available. And as part of that, I suppose I mentioned the collaborative approach. We were very lucky in that a new director of IGD came along whose focus was on investing in systems. And his key message from the start was, we're not paying enough from systems. We should be paying for the very best system that's available out there. So that's what we were doing. We were looking out on the market to see what else was available. So we had our initial engagement with Elsevier, with Helen Demoy, who was exceptionally helpful to us, very generous with her time, and gave us lots of presentations, gave us lots of demos, gave us lots of access to Elsevier Pure. So the HEAnet, the Higher Education Authority of Ireland, they put together a framework process. So essentially what they did was they had a shopping list of systems. They whittled it down to, I think, 6 different packages, and you could draw down from those packages. So that was a huge help when we were going out officially to the market to look for a new system. It saved us on having to do a full tender process. So that was brilliant. And after an internal consultative process, Pure was selected as our chosen system. Now that condenses it down obviously very briefly, but that is where, I suppose, that's where our consultative and communicative process started in terms of bringing people on board, getting them on board and getting them involved in the selection of the new system. And we had a lot of people on that board, the people who were selecting the system. We had faculty deans, we had assistant deans of research, we had people from ITD, we had people from our web team. So we brought people on board from the very, very start. We had our kickoff meeting with Elsevier's implementation manager, Jens, who again, we have to pay tribute to, was super help to us, has been a help to us all the way through and continues to be to now. And we successfully launched our Pure portal in September of 2024. And as part of that as well, it's fully integrated with our web infrastructure. So all of our from day one, our Pure profiles were displayed on each of the faculty, department, research centre websites. Again, our Pure portal has disappeared, but it does look a lot better than this in real life. We have, luckily I do know the numbers here, we have nearly 2,000 profiles on our portal. We have 86 research units, and we have nearly 45,000 research outputs. So I suppose this was our end goal, and we were delighted to get there. And as I said, the main driving force behind us getting to this point was our communication and our avenues of communication, which I'm going to hand over to Fred, because she knows a lot more about this than I do.
Thanks, Richard. Oh, it's very loud. Okay, as Richard said, we had an ambitious timeline of 9 months when we first went to launch. So we started January planning our communication strategy and how it would look like and what would our message be. So we decided from this to reach out to everyone through every available channel we had to us within the university. As you can see, from the list above, we started heavily with presenting at meetings. I would say if there was a meeting on in the university and we weren't at it, there was something really wrong for a while. I'd say the whole university was sick of seeing myself and Richard's faces. So we started with the faculty deans and assistant deans of research, faculty boards, research boards, management council, web editors, departmental meetings, and research institutes and centres. We kicked off with web editors. As Richard had said, we were fully aware we'd planned on embedding Pure within our departmental website, so they were key for early adopters for us to see how Pure was going to work, how it was going to look, the feel of it for them to be informed. From this, we went to campus-wide emails. Again, proved very beneficial. We had target timelines. Originally, it was monthly. So it was like, Pure is coming. We didn't have specific dates. We were really worried in January, obviously, to be given dates out, but it was like, this is what we're looking. We've procured a new system. This is the project. And as the timeline progressed, it went from monthly emails to bi-weekly to weekly, closer to launch, with any information that we had updated. We also used UL Connect, which is WorkVivo. I don't know if anyone here is using WorkVivo. If not, it's our intranet for all the world. Then we went on, we used our Pure Champions. I'm going to go in more detail with them in the next couple of slides, and also our drop-in clinics. Our message was always clear, positive, and one of excitement when we spoke about Pure. It was selling it. It was, look at Pure. It's amazing. These are the benefits. Look how it's going to showcase your work. That was the main selling point to us, and it was the message that we reinforced. So, we are the champions. I'm really worried Richard is genuinely going to start singing. So I'm going to move really quickly. Our goal when we set up the champions was simple. We wanted to have every departmental, every faculty represented to us at a very local level. From this, we had selected 22 staff members. These reached across all departments, all faculty, but also various job titles. So we had from administrators to managerial staff to technical officers and web editors. This was key for a collaborative working space. It's all about getting your message out there, having early adoption, building confidence, building trust for that engagement. We found this extremely beneficial because they were our sellers on the floor. They were selling it to their own departmental staffs. They were building awareness for us when we weren't reaching them. And now, the responsibilities. So again, these were early adopters. They actively contributed to testing, training, and building awareness for us. We created a team site specifically for them. Originally, we had a training demonstration that Helen from Elsevier had provided us. That was the first thing we put in there. From this, that built for extra, anytime we got any new information, it went in there, access to the training site went in there. And because this was a collaborative space, they provided us with constant feedback, which started our first ever FAQ section on Pure. And then we moved that eventually into our training environment, or into our training notes. This is ongoing and messaging site. I cannot stress this enough. Always keep staff engaged, and communication is key in doing that. It doesn't just stop. It's continuously reaching out to the people, making them as informed as you can, selling your message. This proved to be a very successful strategy from when we launched the system. When in the first month we launched the system, we had 60% user engagement, which, talking to other universities last year after we'd launched, we realised was very rare. So, our drop-in clinics. These were originally set up to build awareness that Pure was coming, essentially. These had then grown into our first training rollout programme, and now they're now more so a Q&A for users. Our key for these are, we try to have users at a first fix problem scenario. So if we can fix, hopefully we be able to fix 95% of all queries through the drop-in clinics first time. If we can't, this is extremely key. Engage with the staff. We go back with the query. If we don't have an answer there and then, we make sure we reach back out. Again, enforcing that trust, building that communication, keeping it open with the user. Again, this is what builds engagement. You build trust, you build confidence in the system, again, which builds your user engagement. And with that being said, I'm going to pass back to Richard for the next screen.
Thanks, Fred. So much as Fred and I would like to take credit for all this for ourselves, we'll have to share it out a little bit, I suppose, with other people. So this is just to highlight the supports that we received along the way. So internally, you can see there, hopefully you can see it, there's a picture there of our project team. So this is composed of members of the OVPRI, the Office of Vice President Research and Innovation, ITD, our Information Technology Division, the Library, the Web team, and our Business Intelligence team. And again, I always highlight these two words again of collaboration and communication and keeping people involved. The key ones here I'd like to highlight are the ITD project manager, who was key in keeping us on time, making sure we stuck to our timelines and making sure that the project didn't deviate, and also our business intelligence team. They were hugely important in this in terms of using the APIs and getting the information from our old system into Pure, linking it into our HR system, linking it in so we had our student data in there as well. Of course, have to highlight Elsevier. Already mentioned Helen and Jens in particular. They've been a huge support to us all along, even from years back when we were just inquiring about the system. Always responsive and always have helped us out along the way. IPUG as well, the Irish Pure User Group, have been actually a massive support. So it's Susie and Owen as the co-chairs, but all of the members of IPUG were all on similar journeys. Some of us are at different points in that journey, but there's been a brilliant collaborative approach there in terms of knowledge sharing, and everyone there has been exceptionally generous with their time all along. And finally, just to highlight as well again, HEAnet for putting the framework process in place, because it did save us a huge amount of work in terms of going out to market and seeing what was available. So again, I've mentioned we're both in the Research Strategy and Policy team, led by Christine Brennan, who many of you have met here, who is great at keeping us focused, keeping us driven, and keeping us motivated. So the Research Strategy and Policy team, just to give you a brief overview of what we do, we look after strategy, policy, research governance, ethics, impact, systems, all falls under our remit, and communications. And Fred is going to briefly do now reflections and insights.
I'm just going to stay there. Continuous communication, I cannot stress enough, is always an ongoing process. It does not stop at launch. You need to keep this avenue open as it builds trust, builds that user engagement that you need. The role of the champions, I believe that we genuinely would not have gotten the project where we did without them. Their actual help was unbelievable to us. The fact they could address issues at such a local level, again, building trust and confidence for the user, was second to none. Communicating with the right people at the right time also helps resolve queries, builds trust, again, builds buy-in from your people. After launch, we had gotten feedback to say our communication plan with Pure was communicated exceptionally well. It was an exemplar of a well-run collaborative project. It was so well run that IT have now stole it and now use it as their template for all future projects within our university. I'm going to go back to Richard. Thank you.
Thanks, Fred. So I suppose this is our post-launch communications plan, but essentially it is the communications keep on going and the phases of Pure rollout keep on going. So we're continuing with our drop-in clinics. We're continuously updating our training material based on the queries and feedback that we receive. We have a dedicated email address, pure@ul.ie, and say we try to be as responsive as possible to that, just so people know that when they raise a query, when they give feedback, that somebody is there, there's a team of us there who are looking into it. Fred is doing a great job keeping communications open with the champions and keeping them on board for subsequent phases. So phase 1 was our UL Pure portal. Phase 2 we're in the middle of now is applications and awards, but we have phase 3, phase 4 planned, and after this week now we seem to have phase 5, 6 and 7. So it's going to be a continuous communication and continuous collaboration. One other thing we are planning for early next year is a Pure Census Day. So we're planning a day with our research communications officer. We're planning a census day. So essentially the message is your Pure profile up to date? So we're going to do workshops across the campus. We're going to run competitions. We might have a prize. We're hoping Elsevier might give us something for that because they seem to have a load of earbuds this week. So we'd happily take a donation of those for our prizes. But just to keep again the communication open and to keep that enthusiasm for Pure going across the campus. So our subsequent rollout phases, award management I mentioned, projects up and running, looking for a new ethics system, launching the new report. We're excited to do that next year as well. Our DSpace integration, e-thesis submission, and we have a list of homework now for the coming year based on what we've seen this week.